Today's episode of SmackDown was pre-recorded, and usually nothing happens on these. But not today. We have a new US champion, and it was awesome. So let's get into it. Hey, since you're here, might as well subscribe, right? Yeah, like I mentioned, the biggest thing at tonight's show, as far as I'm concerned, is Carmelo Hayes is finally the new US champion on Friday Night Smackdown. He beat Ilya Dragunov in a match that had to have lasted maybe half an hour. It was a great match, obviously, as you can expect from both of these guys. But at the end of it all, we got a new champion in Carmelo Hayes, and I'm super stoked about this. Also, it's probably not a coincidence that on this same episode, we have Trick Williams in SmackDown, kind of like looking for a higher bidder kind of thing. They're doing this a lot with some NXT stars, which I'm totally on board for. We need a lot of people to fill up 2 weekly 3-hour shows. So yes, let's bring up some NXT stars. We saw the same thing happen on Raw last week with Javon Evans, kind of talking about the highest bidder, kind of talking about seeing where he wants to go and what brand, whatever. So totally on board with this. But again, not a coincidence that on the same episode where Carmelo Hayes wins the US Championship, Trick Williams is on this episode talking about trying to find out where he wants to go. He also had a confrontation with Cody Rhodes, which I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but really interesting to have him on this episode. And I really hope that he joins SmackDown so we can see that feud continue, that feud between Trick and Melo continue on Friday Night Smackdown. But yes, congratulations to Carmelo Hayes. Amazing match. If you have time to just see any one match from tonight's episode, see this one, obviously, right? There were 4 matches in total. Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov, totally worth it. And like I said, super, super happy for the dude. Totally deserves it. Our new US champion, Carmelo Hayes. I forgot to mention that after this match, Carmelo Hayes was attacked by Johnny Gargano. So I don't know what's happening. Johnny was like, "Oh, I'm going to take this away from you. I'm going to take away everything you love, including this title." What's happening with Tommaso Ciampa then? So is Tommaso Ciampa no longer, he doesn't care about the titles anymore, about the US title anymore, and now Johnny Gargano does? Or maybe they both care and this is going to drive something between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa? I don't know. Interested but confused, I'm not going to lie. It seems like Johnny Gargano is going to be Carmelo Hayes' first feud, so I'm sure that's going to be great. No problems for me there. Another match that I wouldn't say was an incredible match, but it was honestly just really fun to watch, was Joe Hendry. Cool. Joe Hendry versus The Miz. And the show started with The Miz backstage talking to Nick Aldis, essentially being like, is he here? Don't say his name, but is he here? Yes, he's here. And then eventually Nick Aldis says his name, and then Joe Hendry appears in the ring for a song he wrote for The Miz that he dedicated for The Miz. And we did this before a few years ago where WWE was obsessed with the size of The Miz's balls. And it seems like we're back at it. This Joe Hendry song was pretty much Jingle Bells, Miz has tiny balls. And we don't need that. I mean, Joe Hendry's fun, and the song was fun because it was Joe Hendry, and I'll take Joe Hendry on my TV doing whatever he wants if I'm being quite honest, but we don't need this again. Like, literally, The Miz had a shirt that said, what did it say, like, hello, like those like name tag things that was like, hello, I'm The Miz and my balls are huge. Like, that was literally a t-shirt that they sold on WWE.com. We don't need to go back to this. But like I mentioned, they had a match on tonight. It was a, what was it called? What did they call it? A Miracle on 34th Street fight. Whatever. It was a street fight between The Miz and Joe Hendry. Okay, cool. I forgot to mention that during that song, we had Santa and an elf in the ring with Joe Hendry. Santa was Otis. The elf was Tozawa. He was the elf on a shelf. He was standing on the turnbuckle. And then there was also an Easter bunny for some reason that eventually revealed itself to be R-Truth. So great, great, great. Really fun match, like I said. Bunch of weapons. Again, going to like, oh, The Miz has tiny balls. Joe Hendry pulls out a giant guitar from one of the gifts, because that's what happens when you have a street match with a Miracle on 34th Street match, whatever. is there's a bunch of gifts wrapped around the ring, and each gift has a weapon. So Joe Henry pulled out a giant guitar, and then The Miz went in to unwrap another weapon, and it was a ukulele. So innuendo. But yes, like I said, The Miz, I guess I didn't say, but The Miz lost this match, obviously, as you can expect. Tozawa and Otis were both involved in this match. The Easter Bunny, which again, I don't know why the Easter Bunny was there. The Easter Bunny later revealed himself to be R-Truth. He did the five knuckle shuffle on The Miz, and Joe Henry gets the win with his standing ovation. I think he does it on a table. If I do remember correctly, he did the standing ovation on the table. 1, 2, 3. The Miz loses. Joe Henry wins his technically his debut match on SmackDown. I guess not his debut match, but like I think he's part of the main roster now. Which again, love that in 2026 we're gonna have more NXT stars on SmackDown, especially because SmackDown is going to 3 hours a week starting next week. SmackDown is going to be 3 hours long, and we all know how much SmackDown drags. So I hope that with the addition of these new stars, I hope we do get Mello. We also later got a video package for Obafemi, so I hope he's losing his NXT title and he's coming to SmackDown because yes, that is a main event star, and we desperately need those. So yes, I hope Obafemi is. That means Obafemi is coming soon in the next few weeks. Lose his NXT title, keep it. I don't care, but let's get this guy on SmackDown on a weekly basis. Kudos to WWE for all of that. We then got Charlotte Flair against Lash Legend. The match was fine. It ultimately ended with Charlotte Flair beating Lash Legend on what was essentially a roll-up. It was like a weird roll-up off the corner. It wasn't quite a Canadian Destroyer by any means. And it was a little bit more than a roll-up. But it was essentially just a roll-up. Beat Lash Legend 1, 2, 3. This match was essentially to set up what's coming next week, which after this match, there was a backstage segment with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss kind of talking about like, hey, this is the first step to winning back our titles. And then they get interrupted by Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, where they're like, we're going to have our title shot first, and we're not going to let those titles slip away from my hands like you did. And then Nia Jax and Lash Legend come in from the side, and they start arguing with them about who knows what. Eventually, the Kabuki Warriors also come in, and they kind of start arguing, and I don't even think they like throw a punch at each other or whatever. But Nick Aldis interrupts them, and he's like, to settle this next week, we're going to have an 8-person tag match before Rhea Ripley and Io Sky have their tag team titles. So all of this is all to set up a multi-team women's tag match for those titles. It better be. That better be what this is all for, because this Lash Legend and Charlotte Flair match was a nothing match. All the other matches that have kind of happened in this whatever person feud has been a nothing match. Also, did we forget that Bayley and Lyra Valkyria were a part of this? Also, did we forget that the Judgment Day were a part of this? Like, why isn't this a 12-person match, right? I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully we don't forget about them, especially Bayley and Lyra. I feel like WWE just forgets about Bayley. So, whatever. We're getting the 8-person tag match next week. I don't know if that means it's 4-on-4 or if it's 2-on-2 on 2-on-2. Whatever. I'm sure it'll be a great match, but next week on that first 3-hour episode of SmackDown, we're getting that 8-person tag match. My dog shook at the end of that, but I don't care. I'm leaving it in. We also had a tag match between Julia and Kiana James versus Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. Listen, this match just wasn't for me, but we got Julia and Kiana James won this match with with Julia pinning Chelsea Green. So I'm sure that this is going to lead to something, right? I'm sure that this is going to lead to a tag match. Even Corey Graves at the end of the match was like, Chelsea Green can't keep ducking Julia forever. She's eventually going to have to fight her for this title. So I'm pretty sure that's probably also going to be announced for next week on that 3-hour episode of SmackDown. And I hope Chelsea wins it. A couple other things that happened on this episode. There was a video package for Obafemi, which I mentioned already, actually. There was a backstage interview with Jade Cargill where they were talking to her about Michin. She essentially was like, Michin needs to bring weapons, whatever. Bring your weapons if you want. I am the weapon. What she said was, I don't need weapons. I am the weapon. I wrote that on my notes. But that is what Jade Cargill said. She's a weapon. Whatever. Then Michin was like, she thinks we're scared of her, but the truth is that we don't respect her. She's not a locker room leader, and she thinks that's because she has all these muscles. She can bully us. And because she's stronger than us, she can bully us. And I'm over this feud because no one believes that Michin's going to win. But Michin was talking to BFAB, and BFAB was essentially like, look, dude, if you're protecting me, please don't get hurt. You don't need to do this. But apparently, we're getting that match again next week between Michin and Jade Cargill, where Jade Cargill is probably going to destroy Michin. It is the first 3-hour SmackDown of the year, so I'm expecting someone to return. Maybe a Tiffy, that'd be fun. Maybe a Bianca, that'd be more fun. So I am expecting someone to come in after this match. Maybe Jade is attacking Michin at the end of the match, just like completely destroying her up and down the ring, and someone interrupts and saves Michin. Again, hopefully a Bianca, maybe a Tiffy. We also got Aleister Black and Zelina Vega cutting a video promo on Damian Priest. And you can tell by my voice how excited I am about this. Essentially, they were like, look, man, you got everything you wanted. You were a part of the Judgment Day. You won the title. You were part of the Terror Twins. And you got everything you wanted. And then eventually you lost your edge. So we're here to bring your edge back. To have you get your edge back because you've lost your edge. You used to be violent, but now you're not. So we're here to bring out that violence in you. And can you just be here to finish the feud? No one cares about this feud. WWE, we don't care who wins between Aleister Black and Damian Priest. We don't. Not even kind of. Not even a little bit. I'm not even mildly interested. This feud should have ended, I want to say during that mixed tag match, but honestly before that. This should have been a one-match feud. I'm over it. I don't care. They're going to have a match at some point, and I don't care who wins. And that is that. And finally, we have our main event, which was essentially throughout the night, Cody Rhodes was asking Nick Aldis, is Drew here yet? Did Drew sign the contract yet? Is Drew here yet? Tell me when Drew gets here. Whenever Drew apologizes, you got to let me know. Drew needs to apologize, and you got to let me know when he apologizes, but let me know when he gets here. So towards the end of this match, well, at some point during the show, we see Drew McIntyre come in there. He gets interviewed by one of the people backstage who do the interviewing. I don't know their names. He gets interviewed by one of these people. Drew's essentially like, I'll be in the ring later. And you'll get answers to all the questions you want. So the main event, he's in the ring. He pays his fine. He apologizes to the referee that he claymored. Apologizes in quotes because he's like, I also apologize for the fact that you're a loser and you wanted to be a wrestler and I'm doing everything you've ever wanted to do, but that you never could do. So instead, you're a referee. So he's like shooting down the referee. Fine, whatever. Gets interrupted by Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes is the good guy and you got to defend people when they're getting cut down with words. So while that was happening, Cody Rhodes comes out and he can't attack Drew because if he attacks Drew, he loses his title, right? That's part of the agreement. So he can't attack Drew. Drew then tells him his stipulations for this match. He's like, I'm not going to fight you in America because you've screwed me over too many times in America. He's not wrong, by the way. So they're going to fight in Berlin. I think that episode is in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. It's in like the tour leading up to the Royal Rumble in Saudi. But it's in 2 to 3 weeks. I don't exactly know when. And it's going to be a 3 stages of hell match. 3 stages of hell. I haven't seen that in WWE in so long. I'm excited. It's going to be great. It's going to be on SmackDown, which, whatever. I'm pretty sure someone else is going to be involved in this. Drew McIntyre better win. I want Drew McIntyre to win. I do. I'm going to just come right out and say it. I want Drew McIntyre to beat Cody Rhodes for this title because I'm tired. I'm tired of Cody Rhodes as a champion. WWE needs something different. WWE Smackdown needs something different. SmackDown is so predictable. We know Cody's going to win every match. We know Jade Cargill's going to win every match. Give us something new, WWE. So I'm excited for this match. I'm excited for the stipulation in general, but I'm excited for the match. I hope someone gets involved, but ultimately, I hope that Drew McIntyre wins this match. So there you have it. That was this week's episode of Friday Night Smackdown. Like I mentioned, it was pre-recorded, so I hope nothing got spoiled for you. I did get kind of a big thing spoiled for me before tonight's episode. Actually, last Friday I was scrolling and I did see that Carmelo Hayes won the U.S. Championship, but I don't even care because I was super excited. The guy super deserves it. That match was awesome. Like I said, if you have a chance to look at anything from tonight's show, go watch that match. That match was fun. But that seems to be setting something up. Like I said, it's not a coincidence that Trick Williams was on this episode, kind of trying to figure out if he's signing for SmackDown. The answer is probably yes. Also, something with Johnny Gargano is happening with Carmelo Hayes, which is interesting. Anyway, there was also a video package with Solo and the MFTs that I forgot to mention. Whatever, they're still feuding with the Wyatt Six, as you can suspect. I also like that they're setting up this this 8-woman tag team match next week on SmackDown. Again, I don't know if it's going to be a 4-on-4 thing or a 2-on-2 on 2-on-2. I just hope that this sets up a TLC match and we throw in Bayley and Lyra and also the Judgment Day for a 6-team tag team match. And then I'll be a happy boy. Give me that and I'll be a happy boy. So, a couple things set up here on this SmackDown. That Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre thing, awesome, great. We set that up also. So nothing SmackDown, surprisingly. Most of the time when you get a pre-recorded SmackDown, it's usually a nothing SmackDown, but still not the best SmackDown in the world because it's still SmackDown. Anyway, though, let me know in the comments what you thought. Let me know if I forgot anything. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you're looking forward to the most. They set up a couple things here. So, last SmackDown of the year. Thank you guys so much for joining me this year. This is our last SmackDown review. There'll be more videos, but this was our last SmackDown review of the year. And it's been great doing this for you guys for the last couple of months. But anyway, drop a like if you made it this far. Drop a comment. Subscribe. Do what you got to do. Check out one of these videos too. They're a lot of fun. I post a lot. Come check them out. And as always, until next time, have a nice day.